Good afternoon. How are you? Well, it's 32 degrees, freezing, by standards we've set to determine such things. The humidity is like 45, and the wind is about 8 miles an hour. And a moment ago, you could hear it and feel it. So you and I have been spared this interference in our constitutional, if you will. So I thought we'd talk about the law a little bit and how it's being applied and what's outrageous or not. The first thing I would say about the law is it matters who is on the bench, what their background is, what empathy they have, what they can share with the litigants, what their theories are of the law. There's kind of a burnt oath notion by some, and others do try to follow the law, and age matters because what I've found is the traditions of the law that were inculcated in this young Columbia law student are not the same things that are being taught in the years since. And it's kind of funny for me to appear before judges younger than me. Seeing as how I clerked for judges much older than myself after I left Columbia. So where do judges come from? A whole variety of things. And let me first give this warning so you understand if you haven't considered it before, and I apologize to the others. I'll give you an anecdote. A friend of mine, Latino, but not obviously so, and I don't say this to be discriminating, I say this because I think it matters to those who choose to support nominees. But a fellow who was very active with great success as a public defender, and when in private practice after that, had some sensational trials. And had been the president of the Bar Association. And he wanted to be a judge. And to my way of thinking, he would make a great judge. But the fact that he was, quote, liberal and Latino, I think mattered. And when he didn't get the nomination, he was told, well, let's give you a chance to sort of take a step back on some things. They'll be more reassuring to those who would put you on the bench. And in my conversation with him, I said, oh, that's great. The reason I think you would be a judge and what you've done for your life that suggests that you would be attentive to the nuances of what a judgeship should be will be lost in order to get the judgeship. Why would you want to do that? Now, some people, not this person, some people do it because they do have a gift to give. If they're successful in private practice, they're going to take a cut in pay. They're going to be compromised by ethics as to who they can pal around with. And I don't say this in a bad way. It's just they're supposed to be above suspicion, above concern about their impartiality. We've seen that's not what happens on the Supreme Court. So, that said, that's the background for appointing judges, perhaps at every level, state and federal. Now, the U.S. Senate just confirmed 2 Biden judicial nominees who are very well considered. And I think that brings the number of judges that the Biden administration has appointed to 255, which is 1 or 2 more than Trump did during his service is a bad word, but during his term of office. Now, these appointees involve minorities, LGBTQ. They're diverse, which I think is a mix that's necessary on the bench. And what will they do when they get on the bench? Will they be, susceptible to being more concerned about the docket than about the case, and more concerned about a pattern that would take them to the Court of Appeals from trial court, district court, positions. So that's the dynamic. Now, the Republicans were very eager and determined and resolved when Trump was in office to get as many judges as they could. I think their standard was different than I believe was Biden's, and I think necessarily so. So there's that. Now let's talk about the law as it's lived a little bit in the new administration. I call this the pardon me category. Trump incited a riot. Insurrectionists trying to overthrow the government and perhaps even to hang a Vice President Pence. So he plans to pardon those who have been indicted, convicted, served time. It's not clear who, but he certainly says he's going to do something like that. Now, this is truly ironic. Is it because he feels lonely that there aren't more people in government that have a record comparable to his convictions in New York State or the civil judgments against him? You know, he was slipped through the system, so he's going to help others slip through a system of reckoning that's appropriate and necessary to deter and to illustrate what our public values are. So, how do we judge that? Well, you know, we impeached him, but we didn't convict him. He was indicted by the feds, but he won't be tried by the feds. He's not barred from running for public office. He intends, by hook or crook, emphasis on crook, to wipe his slate clean, in the federal cases at least, to pardon those who broke the law. The word is, he wants to feature this slime at his inauguration. Anybody with any decorum would not think that was correct. There are a lot of things we all read that give us an idea of what right thinking, right acting should be. Now, if one is polite, and we see that all the time, but untruthful, then the propriety that one would present is itself a lie. But in this administration, before, that is Trump, and again after the inauguration, we didn't have, and can't expect decorum, propriety. And certainly not in the sense that it's true to the actor who is speaking kind and syrupy words, having intentions that are quite the contrary. Now, some purport to have the knowledge of what's right and what should go on. And I think of this as the split, the abyss that exists between the written or spoken word and the corresponding action, whether it's knowledge or anything else. So, if some purport to know, but it's not acted upon, if the knowledge doesn't show in the character of the person, then it's as much a lie as anything else. Now, are these words just thrown around? Do they have any meaning? They have no meaning if we don't understand how to apply them. If we don't have a standard, a basis of comparison, which is what the law is, from the less significant to the most important things, by which we model a nation and have or don't have a civilization. And we are at risk of losing that. But the clowns are in the circus, and so far they've proven themselves to be clownish, to be unforgettable in the distinction of doing the wrong thing at the wrong time, and failing even to bring along those who've been threatened and coerced before, other members of the Republican Party, for fear of being challenged in a primary. So, where do we stand? Well, there are a couple of significant things coming up. One is January the 6th. There should be a demonstration about Trump's role in January 6th. States should pass resolutions condemning it. But then there's the inauguration. And I'm of two minds about that. One is to stay away, and the other is to have a demonstration. In the sense of highlighting by street theater, political street theater, what a farce it is that one of the worst criminals ever to be in the West Wing is being inaugurated as the representative of a nation that claims to be the land of the free and the home of the brave when he's neither. He is trapped by his inhumane ambition to control all about him. Now, if that isn't an absolutely Homeric-sized case of insecurity, I don't know what is. And mostly he doesn't want to really accomplish anything. As in his life as a developer or failed casino operator, for him it's about branding. I am Trump. Well, okay, good. But through history, people who say that, even the ones who do terrible things, Alexander the Great, they do what they say when they beat their chest. This guy Trump, he wins by hate, by lies, and people shudder at this man. The instruments of the government that could control him are ignored. As we bless the founders of this nation, we ignore the artifices that they sought to control with specific provisions in our Constitution which we don't use. Shame on us. But really, shame on the cowards who would occupy public office because they are inert beings with only a vacuum, a dark black vacuum within them, unable to accomplish anything that is even seemingly heroic. So, I say we have to speak up those who show profile, in or out of government. Do what little or large we can do, depending on our own positions. And count on Trump and his minions and the competition of people trying to seize power one from the other to tear up these Republicans who are bereft of any policy that matters to the common man or woman in America, and that they're only there to move American taxpayers' cash into desperation as they take away the governmental supports that involve the general welfare charged in our Constitution as one of its objectives, and save the rich from paying their fair share to, quote, enjoy the fruits of their effort, but not at the cost of the productivity of the workers that make those profits possible. So that's what I got to say. So out here on the freezing tundra of Loudoun County near Lovettsville, on a road that I think of as a cathedral of trees, I say goodbye for the day. Bye-bye.